So aside from the partisan battles of getting this done, what can the two of you representing agriculture do to make that ag infrastructure a priority so that what dollars are allocated aren't just going to the highest population areas, but that they're really being dealt with as agriculture as an industry needs this infrastructure?
Well, as far as in agriculture, today the biggest problem we have is the uncertainty, along with getting a farm bill, but it is the uncertainty that's out there today as far as tax policy. You don't know next year what your tax rates are going to be. The death tax dramatically increases as of the first of the year if nothing is done. Capital gains taxes, dividend taxes, alternative minimum tax. But the other thing, and has just been crushing in agriculture, has been the overreach of the EPA, the federal government, on regulations. You know, they want to come in and under the Clean Air Act now, the EPA has been proposing regulations that say that you can't harvest your crop when it's dry. Because there would be dust coming off, or you can't drive it down a gravel road because there would be dust coming off of that. They want to control the runoff on your yard on the farm as being part of the Mississippi River. I mean, things like that just make absolutely no sense, but are going to dramatically reduce the opportunity for family farms to continue, because it is the smaller family farms that cannot comply with all of these regulations coming out of Washington. The big corporate guys have got the money to be able to comply with it, and that's why we're going to lose more family farms because of the overreach of the federal government. Now, let me just say in agriculture, I'm very proud of the fact that the Iowa Farm Bureau has named me as a friend of agriculture. I've got all the commodity groups, the livestock groups are supporting my campaign, and I'm very, very proud of that. So I think as someone who understands agriculture, understands what is a business today in agriculture, and they recognize that, and that's why they're supporting me.
Well, the EPA thing is something that I've been concerned about as well, and we joined together, and the point you make about farm dust and gravel, we voted on that. That's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. And as you know, so I would hope you did not try to get everybody fearful of something. It's not going to happen. It's not. You can't run a combine across the field or truck down or a car down a gravel road without creating dust, and we know that. Everybody else knows it, so that's just an effort to try to get a scare or fear into people. I would guess Tom, you and your children, your grandchildren you mentioned, and so on, will want clean drinking water and clean air, and so do mine. And so we have to be at least cognizant of it. And I know I say often to people, it's not a very big farm. The little farm I have stewardship over with, I'm a conservation person. If you don't believe it, just come look at it and see what you think. And we don't have time, but I can tell you what I've done if you wanted to take time. And so I'm very serious about it. I think all of us out in the country want to protect the land. I think we want to protect the water. I think we want to protect that environment. And there's, occasionally there's too much regulation. I think we've addressed it some, and we'll have to keep an eye on it. We have to keep an eye on it. We've got to use common sense. My old dad would say we use a little horse sense here, and this will work out all right. And I'm willing to participate in that as I have demonstrated.
All right, thank you. Stephanie.
Thank you. I'd also like to thank the radio station for hosting this and appreciate our invitation to be a part of it. And I certainly appreciate Congressman Boswell and Congressman Latham for being here and to attend this evening for us. I have a question for you also. And in fact, just before I came out here tonight, I was watching one of the ads on TV. And they were talking about how the United States rankings are dropping in a lot of different areas. And I'm kind of wondering where we're going to go, how we're going to compete in a new global economy. I understand that this is something that should have been addressed maybe many years ago. And it's now getting to the point where something needs to be done. And one of those issues along that line is education and where we're going with our our education in the United States today, and what are we going to do to, you know, grow and create workers in a global economy. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Stephanie. That's a good point, and I would appreciate you bringing that up. Well, one thing that I think will not work that I've heard what's been voted on a couple times, the Ryan budget, and we can probably have lots of discussion on different aspects of that, but it's wrong-headed when it comes to education you mentioned, and I've said throughout my time that I've been dealing with politics and so on that education is top priority. It opens the doors. It's what the future is all about. And when we start thinking about we got to set or reductions or whatever, we got to set priorities. And education is one that we got to give a top priority to. You know, as well as we got to eat, we got to do that too. And we've addressed a little bit on that. But education is a must. And research, we got to do research, and we got to do those things to get us in out of. I've said for a long time. I was still in uniform when I realized what would happen to community if they couldn't get fuel for their truck or their car and do business. And it's amazing. And we won't take time for that either probably tonight, but that would happen here. I don't want that to happen. And we got to press hard on those alternatives and realize that that time has come. So we got to do that. Education is extremely important. We got to balance the budget. You know, we got to take an approach to this. When we hear all this discussion going on and the things that's not going to happen, and you know, we finally through I think Tom, you mentioned earlier there was an opportunity for open rule, and we had Simpson Bowles come up, and I voted for it. You did not, but you know, it's probably not perfect, but it'd be a template, a place to start from, bipartisan. Those that did vote for it was bipartisan, and so you know, the Ryan budget wasn't bipartisan. But the Simpson Bowles vote, the 38, they call the brave voters. Well, I don't know if it's so brave or not. It was just the right thing to do. And, you know, Mr. Ryan, he walked away from that. He voted against it when he was on the commission. We can't do that. We have got to come back and work together, whether it's a appreciation for something we started calling the Buffett rule or whatever. But we have got to be sure that we do the right things for education.
Well, you bring up a tremendously important issue as far as us being competitive as a nation. To be able to have open free trade is extremely important to us, and Congressman Boswell has voted against the last 3 free trade agreements that are absolutely critical for agriculture, for us to be able to compete and grow and prosper here, especially in rural Iowa. Education is an extremely important issue, as Congressman Boswell said. But let me just say that the federal government's involvement has not improved education locally. There's a new initiative from the state talking about math and science and trying to really encourage teachers, encourage students to be involved. And that's really, education is better the closer it is to the local level, the control here. You know, when the settlers came in, our forefathers and foremothers in this state of Iowa, the first thing they did was build a church. And the second thing they did was build a school. And that's what we've got to get back to, the understanding that education is best when people are involved in their community, involved in their schools, that parents are involved. We've got to have a pathway for those kids to be successful, to be able to learn and be successful. And it's why right here in Creston is such a great example, I think, with a community college here. And that's where you learn marketable skills today that are needed in the workforce. And there's a lot of places preparing people for jobs that don't exist. And that's the difference. Education, higher education, is very, very expensive today. And that's why places like here in the community college are so important for us, to be able to have kids go there to get credits. They can do it in high school to get a head start as far as going on to college. But we've got to have people understand that they've got to train for marketable skills out there that are available, jobs that are available, careers that are available today in the workforce.
On that topic of education yet, the No Child Left Behind initiative. Where is that going? What is the future of that?
Well, it certainly needs to be revisited, and I'm willing to do that. It just did not accomplish what it set out to do at all, and it was wrong-headed, and so it needs to be revisited. We all want to raise standards, of course we do, and so on. But back to some of the comments you made about the trade. You know, I believe in fair trade, and I don't know if you've seen it, Tom, but I have actual witness, and maybe you have. I don't know. You've never heard saying about it, but I have met not one farmer that I've talked to. When I talk about the possibility of child labor and indentured labor that goes on in some of these people that we're wanting to make trade deals with, and nobody wants that to happen. We spent time talking to the trade ambassador and others. You know, what about that? I happened to see it happen in Vietnam, and I can't tell you anything worse than to see some. You know, I was out in the provinces, if you will, where I was. I got to see people, and a child is going to go off indentured, a little girl. Come on, I just can't go for that. And this South Korea influence coming into Korea, and I'm sure you're aware of the little projects going on up on the DMZ about that. If there's not product coming in there, why then you're not paying attention. And so it's got to be fair. And the currency manipulation, you know, that's going on. And so you know, I feel like, you know, if we're going to have fairness, and want to bring our standard down for the people that the middle class that makes this country work, and that's the 90%, if you will, that I think I'm representing. I'm trying to represent because I think it's important. If they're making a decent living, they're out there buying. They're buying the cars, the washers, the dryers, send their kids to college, and all these things. That's what makes the economy really go. Absolutely, we need the entrepreneurs. We very much so want them to be successful. Absolutely, but they got to have that workforce out there too, and they got to have a fair trade deal. And when it comes to child labor and currency manipulation and that standard, it's not fair. And I think we can do better, and we ought to be working on it. And your phone rang.
If I may. You know, the three trade agreements that Congressman Boswell voted against, which are absolutely critical for agriculture here in Iowa. President Obama, apparently, according to Congressman Boswell, doesn't care about child labor, doesn't care about trade or about currency manipulation, because he brought those to Congress, and he supported it, he signed it. It was too long. It took too long to get them to Congress. They should have been done much earlier. But the fact of the matter is, this President Obama supported those trade agreements, and so, you know, to say that they hadn't been worked out, that the concerns hadn't been addressed. I mean, I'm not sure that Panama and Colombia are major threats to us. You know, South Korea is an enormous market for our pork producers right here, and has the exports have increased 200% to South Korea, who is our greatest ally in a very, very difficult part of the world over there. And they, with North Korea obviously right on their border, they are our best friend. They are true democracy. That we work closely with, that we should be trading with them, and this is a great opportunity for us to grow our economy here and strengthen South Korea.
Well, you know, thanks for tying me with President Obama. I am tied to him a lot of things. I don't agree with him everything, and I suppose that you must have agreed on everything with Bush when you voted. You know, we go into two wars, not pay for them. I can't imagine when I was a soldier to have to go and fight and expose myself, which I did, then have to come home and pay for it. Well, you voted for those things. Did you agree with the Bush on that? I don't know. You'll have to explain that yourself. But if you've seen child labor and if you've seen the things I'm talking about, it has an impact on your life, and it has had on me, and it's real. And so I think that we can do better. I took the time to talk to the trade ambassador and just didn't get any headway on that, but we will, because it's the right thing to do.